Welcome back, everybody. It's Weeknights. I'm your girl Dash. This is my co-host JD.
No, you always do
Because it's the
that.
show.
Don't ever say that again, please. Especially not after today's allegations.
Oh yeah,
It's fine. Later in the week, when we have more
we'll
information, we'll discuss it.
we'll address it.
Anyway, yes, I am JD, aka He Who Pods. Glasses on today as well. So rear view mirror. In fact, I should clean the spectacles.
We see you. We see you came onto the pod with a fresh cut,
Fresh out the chair. You know what I
fresh
mean?
out the chair. I
Got the
see.
haircut and came straight to the pod.
I said,
Big things
oh,
going on this
big,
week.
big things are going.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I got something going on this weekend. I got to look fresh for. You know what I'm saying?
Fresh and
Those who RSVP'd will be there.
right. The girls that know.
Right. And those who don't, see you on the gram.
Right.
Anyway, let's get it started.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about Steve Urkel. Family Matters. Let's talk about Jaleel White. Yeah, let's start. You ready?
Part of the team.
Hey, I didn't ask you to play, Mother Flower.
I mean, let's do it.
You ready? All right, good. Let's do it. All right, let me flip it over here so I can hear it better.
Part of the TGIF brand sometimes makes you feel like you don't completely belong in the pantheon of blackness. Blackness is
All right, I'm sorry, but the pantheon of blackness is funny.
I can see that, especially coming from him. But
Yo, the pantheon of blackness is a wild way to say it. Oh my God. All right, I'm sorry. I know I'm not supposed to pause it while we're doing this, but that was too crazy to talk.
it is kind of wild to say that.
I never fit
Especially when
into
we're
the
talking
pantheon of black. I'm gonna start saying that.
And we're talking about TV, like, sir.
Crazy.
of blackness. Blackness has been treated as a very monolithic experience in entertainment. If it's not a hood story, it's not a black story. And, sometimes I feel left out of that. So it's like, like if there's ever a poll and they say, oh, what are your favorite black shows? And, Martin is in there or Living Single or any of those guys, I already know we're coming in last. But if there's ever a poll and it's just like your favorite family shows and suddenly Martin's not in there or whatever, all of a sudden we rank really high. And so it's kind of interesting in how we look at ourselves, to be quite honest, even as black folks. And somehow I became a symbol for black male nerd culture, to be quite honest. I mean, I know this for a fact. Any brother that grew up.
All right, I gotta pause it again. Why does he not know that this is a family show?
Right, because the reason...
And
Okay,
what does he think he's supposed to be part of? I somehow became a symbol for black male nerdness. Nigga, you was Urkel. What do you think you were gonna be a symbol for?
You were
50
also,
Cent?
But he was
You thought you
also-
was gonna be a symbol for gangster rappers?
But he was also
I mean-
a symbol of nerds being cool, of nerds being okay. Because when the whole Stefan Urkel persona gets introduced, people start looking at nerds differently. People start looking at nerds as, oh, there's a glow up that can happen here. So I don't even understand his logic there, because I feel like they wrote the nerd out of the show in that way, where you now had these two characters that you could look at and you see the evolution, if you will, of the nerd. And honestly, that is probably a lot of nerds that have had a similar experience. Not them stepping inside of a chamber and getting out and turning into another person, but maybe feeling uncomfortable or weird for being the smart one or the weird one or the one who loves books or science or whatever. Those people grew up, and a lot of them are very successful
And became assholes just like the Stefan Urkel character?
Well, there's that. But also some of those people also became the flyest person in the room. So
And some of us learn to just accept ourselves.
But and that's where I was going too. Like something that he's pointing towards is that I think he's ignoring is the fact that everybody grew up, including us who grew up on the show, like who grew up watching the show, I should say. We all grew up. So the reason your show is considered a family show is because we then got older and were able to watch things like Martin and Living Single, and because we evolved.
But the people weren't. All right, let's finish this and then
I know. Yeah, sorry, I got carried away.
That's fine.
Oh,
because
I became a symbol for black male nerd culture. To be quite honest, I mean, I know this for a fact. Any brother that grew up in the 80s and 90s, well, 90s and 2000s, wearing glasses, he was told at school he looked like me. He was called Urkel. And he didn't look anything like me.
Oh, God, who cares?
Guaranteed. But still, his peers would find a way to call him Urkel, and even girls to that extent. So it's really humbling to see how far nerd culture has come. And really, it's not nerd culture. It's smart culture. It's hobbyist culture. It's skateboarders. And I could never have known in a million years that I would be the face of that. I never could have known it.
All right, that's enough of Urkel.
He's so corny to me.
All right.
He's just a corny nigga. Anyway.
Okay, back to the original part, which is what seemingly has gone viral or is trending, however you want to say it today. Jaleel White believes that if it's not a hood story, it's not a black story.
Who said that?
Well, he did.
No,
and
who told him that?
Well, he's trying to justify it by saying that this show is not regarded like the other shows because it's not a hood story. But that's not true. And I can see why he says Martin is a hood story. But Living Single was a hood story? Wasn't she corporate? Weren't half the characters in the show corporate and wearing suits half the show?
They lived in a brownstone in Fort Greene, I think. Okay, fine. They were young. I think it's implied that they didn't have a lot of money. Because it was 4 of them living in that apartment. So I think, but that's not when you live in New York, like it's very common to meet young people in their 20s who have 3 and 4 roommates.
Well, let me tell you, I know this is not the pod to speak about economics, but I just saw what New York rents are supposed to be going up to. They're saying $5,300
for a studio,
for a 1-bedroom.
Oh, because studios. Listen, I don't even live in New York, and studios around my way are going for $3,000 a pop. Studio.
Yo, but $5,300 is about to be 22 people in a 2-bedroom.
I'm never moving back to New York.
I gotta find out how to move further. Anyway.
Right, listen, every time I think about moving, I'm like, so not New York or New Jersey, right?
Right. I think the thing is that going back to Family Matters being viewed as a family show and not a quote unquote black show. One, I think he's wrong. I think black people talk about and watch and adore Family Matters. But when the word family is the first word in your show, right, it indicates that it is a family show. By default, if you Google family show, I would put some money down that Family Matters is probably high on the list of things that are going to pop up because it has the word family in the beginning of the show. It's not called Good Times. It's not called the Jamie Foxx show. It's called Family Matters.
And it
Extreme
also,
examples that I'm giving on purpose, but the point is, the star of the show was a child. When the show starts, we meet Urkel, who's a kid. And so the adults who were watching Living Single, which came out not too far after, those adults were probably watching Family Matters with their kids or with their younger siblings. And so for those people who are that age, like, how many kids do we think were watching Martin when it was airing live on television? It wasn't a show for children. Now,
no, we
hold
were
on.
watching it, but
Well, that's what I'm about to say. Now were kids watching it? Sure. But was
it
it
wasn't
a
a family show.
children? Were children the demographic for that show? No.
no, they
But
weren't.
children were, and young people were the demographic for Family Matters. It was rated PG. Like,
But okay, let's add to that too, because you have to. I'm sorry, guys. I haven't eaten in like a really long time. So something that we need to add to that is he called it out too in that interview. It was in the TGIF prime time time block.
yeah.
All of those shows were family shows. Step by Step, Boy Meets World, they were
Yeah.
all family shows. This was a whole campaign by ABC to get families to watch TV together.
Right.
You look back at the history of TGIF, the reason those shows it's kind of like for people today who watch TV today and maybe weren't watching TV because they were young or whatever around that time, for whatever reason, you can liken it to what they did with Thursdays, with Scandal and Grey's Anatomy. And no, it wasn't TGIF, but it was still a certain type of show. Station
Right.
19, all those shows that they had in that Thursday time slot, now they have different shows because some of those shows, I think Grey's Anatomy is still on, but a lot of those shows have gone.
Grey's Anatomy will never end.
It will never end.
Grey's Anatomy is on like season 700. You know what I'm saying?
And once once a year, I catch up. I didn't do it this year, but once a year I'll go back to whatever.
You still got a couple weeks.
Couple seasons I missed, and I'll watch it because I can't watch it consistently.
Still got a few weeks.
Yeah, I like to let like 2 seasons pile up before I watch it. So we have to remember that this was marketed to families. This
Yeah.
everything, like, they were adjacent to Step by Step. Like, this was a conscious effort to Full House was in that time block. It was a conscious
But
effort.
even the context of the show, right? When you I watched Family Matters probably twice in its entirety. When you watch Family Matters, they're speaking about things that are for families. Like,
yeah,
they're not going clubbing in the show and trying to say, yo, we gotta fuck bitches tonight.
no, and
It's like, you know, Eddie is failing school. Eddie is hanging out with a drug dealer. You know, it's like, it's a family show.
It was, and don't quote me on this, but in my mind, it was ABC's answer to The Cosby Show. Because it's essentially,
Okay.
conceptually, it's similar.
I
It's
see
not
what
the
you're saying.
same. It's not the same.
I see why you say it.
But because Cosby Show was an NBC show. So I'm sure that there was.
I got what you're saying. The format or the template was similar. Yeah,
Right.
I understand what you're saying. Very different, but I understand.
Yeah, but
the structure.
I think the bare bones of it was the same in terms of like it being a family show where, you know, you start off and there's like, fun and laughs and giggles and whatever. And then in the middle, somebody gets into some sort of trouble. And then the end is like the family coming together or the parents like helping them figure it out or whatever.
Right.
There's a format to the family.
And that's actually a great comparison. And here's why. The Cosby Show is known as a black show, but it's known as a black family show. It would never be in the same conversation as Martin and Living Single. And so I think that actually tells us a little bit about Jaleel White. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
He seems like a clown. It seems to me that everything that people say about him might actually be true. Apparently, his former classmates, don't really bang with him either. It just feels like every time he comes out and says something publicly, there's some weirdness there, and he thinks that everybody else is the problem, and he's not the problem.
Well, let me tell you what I think is the problem.
Please, too.
It has been announced
As I pop my popcorn.
that it has been announced that Justice Kentanji Brown Jackson will be making her Broadway debut.
Yes.
In Juliet. I gotta say it one more time.
And Juliet.
Oh, and Juliet. I'm sorry. Justice Kentanji Brown Jackson.
Yep.
Will be making her Broadway debut in And Juliet.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just read this post here from Blex Media.
Thank you.
It says, United States Supreme Court Justice Kentanji Brown Jackson is set to grace the Broadway stage in the hit musical And Juliet. Mm-hmm. And Juliet reimagines the fate of Shakespeare's Juliet, envisioning a world where she survives the tragic ending of Romeo and Juliet. Mm-hmm. Set to a soundtrack of pop hits by Max Martin, the musical explores themes of empowerment and self-discovery. The production, featuring a Tony-nominated book by David West Reed, opened on Broadway in November of 2022 and has since earned critical acclaim.
I'm confused.
You could start.
I'm sorry. I feel like I've been hijacking the conversation a little bit.
It's all good. Some pods you do that. Some pods I do that.
I'm confused. What does she have to do with any of this? Listen, you know me. I'm never mad at a black lady that has multiple jobs. I'm just really confused by this. Like, what is happening here? This was not on my bingo card. That's why I was like, this is a good topic, because how did we get here?
Don't she have like cases that she has to hear and decide on and judge?
I want to be clear that I picked this topic, and the number one reason I picked this topic was because I wanted to know your reaction.
I just feel like, man.
And thank you for not disappointing me.
I just feel like, isn't that a pretty hard job? Do you really have time to be learning songs and preparing for Broadway? Who the fuck said you could sing too? Like, yo, hold on. Nah, I'm upset now. Wait a minute. First of all...
Okay, wait. Don't do that, because maybe she can sing.
No, I don't mean her ability to sing. I'm saying, who said you could just go sing on Broadway? Maybe she could blow. I don't know. Maybe she sings better than Beyonce. I don't know. I never heard her sing. But we shouldn't be hearing her sing till she retires. You a Supreme Court judge, my nigga. What are you doing? Your Honor, I saw you on Broadway.
It's strange.
Could you imagine if your case got to the final... And this would be... Would you just get in front of her and be like, would you like, how do you plead? Your Honor, I saw you on Broadway.
Where are you from?
You know what I'm saying?
Were you in that play?
Hey, weren't you singing I saw you singing on stage one time. You know what's my favorite song that you sung? Son, what are we doing? Like,
it's a little confusing.
A long time ago, there used to be a saying. And when really crazy shit happened, people would say the saying. I feel like it's time to bring it back.
What's that?
Only in America.
Oh, well.
Only in America are you going to see a person who is one of what, 9? Are there 9 judges in the Supreme Court?
I don't remember.
Nah, I think it's 9. I got to look it up.
I'm not good at that.
It's a small number is my point, but let's look it up. My point is you're one of a select few who get to do this job, an important job, to be clear,
Very important.
in this country.
Yep.
But you somehow are going to go sing on Broadway. I don't understand what's going on here.
Broadway.
8 justices. Oh, 9. I'm right. 1 Supreme Court, 1 Chief Justice, and 8 associate judges. 9. I was right. Yo, fam, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Like, no, I need to know. Seriously. Like, Mark Anthony, I need to know. Because seriously, what the fuck?
Not Mark Anthony.
It's a hit song.
I know.
That's his song. I need to know. I need to know.
Tell me, baby girl, cause I need to know.
You see? I be knowing. Anyway, yo, I need to know. Like, what's happening here? Like,
I don't know.
you, like, fam.
Yeah, it's confusing to me. I would like to know more. Maybe.
No, I don't want to.
Maybe there's a piece that we're missing that we didn't catch.
That being a justice is not good enough. That you still have to fulfill your life's dream somehow of singing on Broadway. Yo, you could sing when you retire.
Here's the thing. I work in advertising, right? I also am a podcaster, former blogger. No, I'm going somewhere with this. Just hear me out. I think it's quite all right. And there's been other things that I've done over the years. I'm not going to list everything. But I'm saying those things because I think it's important to point out that it is perfectly fine for a person to decide that they don't only do one thing. It is perfectly fine. Wait, I know you agree, but I just want to make this point that it's perfectly fine to have like multiple things that you do or like have a side thing that you like to do. But it's just confusing to me. We are in dark times. Okay? And have been in dark times for years at this point. Like, it's not just this year. It's not just since November. It's not like, let's all be honest with each other. The state of the union it's not good. And hasn't been good for a long time. And it's like, we are like in this never ending bad dream when it comes to everything in this country, right? So it's confusing to me. Like, I'm not yet willing to say that this is trash, but I also just want to know, like, what am I missing? What's going over my head? Because I'm confused. Yes, time is one thing. I think that's a completely spot on point. That time, like, how do you have the time? Because as far as I know, the Broadway hours are grueling. Now, we don't know how big of a part she has. Maybe it's something small. Maybe it's something that's not going to be on Broadway for a long time. Or maybe her assignment is not going to be for a long time. Because sometimes people come in, sometimes these shows come in and they do a few weeks and that's it. Other times, maybe someone's going to do it for a part of the time and then they're going to switch out the cast. Sometimes that happens on Broadway. There's a lot of movement when it comes to plays. But I just feel like it's stressful because we are in dark times. It's really hard to wrap your head around anyone who has anything to do with government, law enforcement, like having the time or the bandwidth to do something like this just feels very like, it kind of gives you a jolt where it's like, this doesn't sound like it makes sense. I think we're just not in a place where we can accept that, like where it feels okay for this to happen. I think maybe if we were in a different political climate, I think if we were in a different state of the union right now, I might be more excited for her. I just feel like, girl, what's happening here? And who letting you do this? Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I wanted to make sure I wasn't bugging. So she's the only black woman in of the Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, remember they didn't want to confirm her.
I know. That's why I wanted to make sure I'm not bugging. So that's number one. And I say that to say this.
Doesn't look good.
You don't think you're under enough scrutiny already?
I mean,
Like, what you think happens, right? When you give what is viewed as a bad judgment.
right.
You know how easy it's going to be for certain networks to say, oh, she's probably just tired from her Broadway gig. Broadway is wearing her out so much that she is no longer capable of making these important, life-changing decisions for the nation. Let me be clear.
Mm-hmm.
I am a multi-hyphenate. I am a nigga with 22 jobs, right? Okay, I got a 9-to-5. I'm a dad. I'm a hip-hop artist. I'm a video editor. I'm a music video creator and editor. What else?
Party out now.
Tea Party out now. Thank you. I know there's more. Let me see. Oh, I'm an author. Listen, I do way too much.
Yeah.
But my job, my 9-to-5, doesn't require me to make decisions that change the lives of everyone in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
If I fall asleep tomorrow at work, I'm going to get like a write-up or a little, I'm going to get in trouble for dozing off. But if I doze off, I'm not going to have a missing chunk of information because I dozed off while an important document was being read. A document that I now have to vote on. I have to judge on. And my judgment can change the whole nation. Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. Linda, listen. Not you, the justice. I'm not calling you Linda. I'm calling her Linda.
I figured that. Mm-hmm.
I need you to really relax. Because, we are already open to enough scrutiny. And what happens is the more you open yourself up to scrutiny, the more they will do so, right? They're going to heckle and they're going to pick at you. And who knows, maybe they'll try to remove you. Because of what? Broadway? This couldn't wait. Is this really so important? Like, I don't understand.
I think it is weird too that it's Broadway. I think I'd probably be more comfortable with it being like a film or like a TV show because you could that's more like a set it and forget it kind of thing. Like you could go film for one day and move on with your life. I just feel like Broadway is so involved. But that's why I'm like, is the role really, really small? Like, is it? I'm just trying to understand. And I don't agree with the fact that she wouldn't be able to do her job to the best of her ability. Like, I don't.
Oh, I didn't say she couldn't. I'm saying they're gonna fuck with her now. Is my point.
Well, you started talking about like falling asleep on the job and whatever. So what I'm saying,
Okay.
what I'm saying is, I don't think that's not the concern for me. We already know Black women know how to keep multiple jobs
And excel at that.
and excel at them.
I'm not. I don't have any beef with that part.
I don't think that my concern is that she can't get her job done. I think my concern is just the optics of it. And I don't usually dive too deep into respectability politics, but I do think that the optics of it is weird. And like I said, I think that the time we're in right now, and I don't know when we're going to be out of this
Come
time.
on, and she's
this time we're
54.
in right
She ain't no spring chicken.
Well, maybe that's why she's living out her Broadway dreams.
We can move on.
I don't know. I don't like taking this stance. I just feel like, ugh, girl.
I feel like you have a very important job. Don't fuck around. Do your very important job.
Agree.
Okay? I'm not saying she's not capable. I said she might could sing better than Beyonce. Who knows? Right? I don't know. And I'm not saying she shouldn't do this. I'm just saying, perhaps if you're a judge, be a judge.
Yeah.
This ain't like you got a Shopify store where you sell candles and you just ship them out. That's not what we talking about here. Whatever, yo. Let's move on because this is ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, Billboard put out a list and we read it back in June.
Yeah.
And it even says that here on Billboard.com. It says the 10 hottest rappers of 2024 staff picks. It says after releasing the first iteration of the hottest female rapper list in June, Billboard returns with the final rankings for 2024.
Oh,
So they updated the list.
Okay. We talked about this list back when.
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Oh, okay. I gotta give them a slice of credit. I like that they did this because it says the number and the number they gave that person back in June.
Oh, good. Because I was gonna say, do we need to go back? But
No. So it starts with Cardi B as number 10. In June, she was number 7.
Oh.
Rhapsody is number 9. She was not on the list at all in June.
Which was a mistake, I feel.
JT is number 8. She was number 9 in June.
She went up.
Correct. Doja Cat is number 7. She was number 5 in June.
She went down.
Doechii is number 6. She was not on the list in June.
I think she should be higher, but that's my personal opinion.
Lotto is number 5. She was number 8 in June.
I'm sorry, but Doechii should be higher than Lotto.
Sexy Red is number 4. She was number 2 in June. Nicki Minaj is number 3. She was number 1 in June. Megan Thee Stallion is number 2. She was number 3 in June. And this is the wildest shit of all. But Glorilla is number 1. She was number 6 in June.
If this is a list about the hottest right now, I think Glorilla is number 1. I think Doechii should be in the top 5 because I think she's pretty freaking hot right now. She just did SNL. Like she's on the scene. I feel like Lotto should be lower than Doechii. I also think that Doechii is more talented than Lotto, but that's not the question here. As far as hottest goes, I think that Lotto in the first half of the year was a stronger candidate for a higher place on the list. But I think at this point, Doechii has surpassed a lot of these ladies as far as hotness goes. Like as far as who's buzzing right now, Doechii is definitely in the top 4 to 5 of that list. Easily. She came out with a vengeance in the second half of the year. I don't know. Meg, that makes sense to me. The rest is questionable.
I'm sorry, what?
I don't know why you're staring at me like that.
I'm just letting you get your shit off while I wait.
Well,
My turn.
Feel free to jump in. I was trying to talk to you about it, not take over the conversation.
Okay, I agree that Doechii is on fire right now, but the key part is right now. The beginning half of the year, there was not a lot of buzz about Doechii.
Agree, yeah.
And so, does she deserve to be on this list? Absolutely. But does she deserve to be in the top 5? Probably not if we're talking about the entire year.
I guess. I don't hear a whole
Just
lot
just responding to what you said. Sure, and that makes her hot today, yes. But if they're talking about the entire 2024, if we didn't hear about you the first half of the year, how high could you be? I think 6 is pretty high.
But what if we're not hearing about you much now? That doesn't make a difference either.
Of course, I'm responding to your Doechii point, not the list as a whole.
Okay.
Now, what I will say is I only really got one thing to say about this list.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say 2 things, actually. Number 1, thank you, Billboard, for including Rhapsody and Doechii. I appreciate that. Definitely. As I am a fan of both.
Same.
And I think they deserve to be on this list.
We said back then that, at least I know we said Rhapsody should have definitely been on the list.
In June, we weren't really listening to Doechii, so I can be honest and say that. And that's what I mean about the second half of the year. Mm-hmm. And so And when I say we, I don't mean the culture. I mean you and I, just so the
Yeah, no,
listeners.
I
No,
agree.
I know you know, but I'm saying so the listeners are clear.
Hmm.
Um, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying the culture was completely ignoring Doshi before the second half of the year. I'm saying you and me, we didn't even really know about Doshi before the second half of the year.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't want to sit up here and act otherwise. But I agree she deserves to be on this list. I mean, her Tiny Desk just came out, and I saw it's already over 1 million views.
Hmm.
It came out what, Friday?
Yeah.
Today's Monday when we're recording this. Um, the second thing I would say about this list as a whole is very smart of Billboard to update their list.
I
A lot of
appreciate that they
times,
did that. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of times a list comes out
Uh-huh.
and it's like, all right, that's our list. See you next year when we do our next list, if we do one. Them doing it
Hmm.
is smart. Them doing it keeps the buzz going. Them
Yeah.
doing it keeps them in the conversation. And so I think this is really smart to do an updated list. I think that's fly.
It also makes it really easy for the Billboard staff to go on vacation for the holidays because they put it out there and everybody can talk about it and keep Billboard in their
Exactly.
conversations, and they can go and enjoy their holidays with their families.
Exactly.
So
They
I
can sit at
agree.
the table and watch Family Matters.
Yeah, I agree that it's very I agree that it's very smart.
Yeah, I think it's really, really fucking smart.
Yeah.
We've probably said way too many F words this pod, mostly me. But yeah. Sorry, YouTube.
YouTube will be fine.
We're not monetized anyway, so who cares?
No. But yeah, I overall I appreciate that they updated the list. I think that a lot of it makes sense. I can't remember who they knocked off the list because they had to have removed two people in order
I
for
know
Rap
Flo
to.
Millie's no longer there. I can't remember who the other person is.
Can't remember either. But yeah, I mean, listen, these lists are staff picks. They're not even saying that it's based on their Billboard charts. They're saying it's their staff picked it. So I which is ironic coming from Billboard. But
Yep.
I think it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with them doing these lists. I think everybody does them. Um I like that Billboard focused, and I said this before. I like that Billboard focused on female rappers.
Yeah.
Um because I think sometimes we as a culture have a hard time having a conversation about male and female rappers together.
I never think they should go in the same conversation.
Right, and that's fine, but on top of them not being in the same conversation, I think sometimes male rappers get prioritized over female rappers, so you don't see a whole lot of top female rappers lists. You
Right.
see more of top rappers, and it's mostly men or it's all men.
Right.
So I like that Billboard focused on the ladies and then
Same.
came back and said, "Let's talk about them again."
Yeah.
I really do appreciate that because I feel like, especially for someone like me who I have a really hard time with female rap. I say that all the time. And as much as I love women and I love black women and I want to champion everything that they do, I have a hard time with female rap just because they're rapping about things that it's like sometimes it just feels very redundant from one person to the next. I think something great that came out of 2024 is that we got a mix of everything when it came from female rappers. And I can appreciate that. It's a step in the right direction. Because I think it's easier to stomach, you know, I won't use anybody's specific lyrics, but I think it's easier to stomach some of the ones that I don't really gravitate towards when everybody's not doing the same thing. So I could get, you know, uh I could get WAP and whatever over there, but I could also get Rhapsody and Erica Badu over here, and then Doechii is like this incredible mix of all of these different types of women. And then you got Glorilla who is creating anthems for women, and I just feel like we got a well-rounded mix of female rap this year. And I can end the year satisfied that I feel like my palette for it has grown.
Got
So,
you.
you know, that's my 2 cents.
Got you. Well, what I appreciate is all of you listeners and viewers. Just want to say thank you for being here. This has been Weeknights. We will see you tomorrow.
Next time I'll share my popcorn. Bye.